They can hear me, but can they hear you?
We're back in JAC and HAC.
And this is episode 241. Wait, yes, 241. We missed a week, so my numbers are out of loop, but 241 of the JAC Show. I am the genuinely beautiful and moronic hack.
And I'm your favorite VTuber, Jack.
And we are here today for a few things. Number one, we got a cool video game topic coming up about games that we took chances on because, sometimes we always hear that we got to step out of our comfort zone. And when you do that, it's not always guaranteed that it's going to be the best thing ever, but sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. So we'll be talking about that a little later on in the episode. But first, I actually want to share something weird and zany that happened in the world as like a few weeks ago. So, Jack, I want to ask you this question. What do you know about animals? Specifically, what do you know about the world of exotic animals?
I know a couple of them, but where could this lead?
Well, my good friend, and also hello, Ghetto. I see you in the chat. Have a good afternoon, good evening, sir. Well, I mentioned exotic animals because, oftentimes on my phone, I will get random news stories from all over the world. Most of them mundane, but sometimes I'll get something that's actually interesting. And so I will be quick on this. I'm not gonna go and do a full screen share because really, the headline says it all. So this comes for us from across the pond from the BBC, and this is the headline. Ready? Oh wait.
Yep.
Chinese national arrested over attempt to smuggle 2,000 queen ants from Kenya.
I feel like I remember this from somewhere. I feel like I've heard about this story.
This news was reported 5 days ago as of this episode. And the meat and potatoes of this story is that the headline is accurate, but there's a little more to it. So, according to this BBC report, there is a whole industry of transporting these exotic Kenyan ants to all over the world for people who there's literally an industry for people who want to collect exotic animals. Now, we've known that, there's famous stereotypes among the rich and royal of having these exotic zoos, but usually they want tigers, they want bears, they want falcons. Not one of them ever considered, you know what? I want an exotic ant from Africa. Until very recently. And so what it is that the Chinese national that was in the headline is not a one-man job. He was the main man in charge, along with a group of bunch of international bug smugglers, of getting all these exotic ants from Africa to all over the world, to other parts of Asia, to parts of Europe, to sell them for a high price. And the Kenyan government is not kind for people smuggling their bugs. In fact, as I'm reading here, the 4 men who were caught smuggling these bugs were sentenced to a year in prison with a fine. Or they were sentenced either a year in prison or faced a fine of $7,700 for trying to smuggle these queen ants. And this is for the Kenyan government. So you can't just be stealing bugs, especially in the thousands over in their country, because they will find you. And they will find you. So,
man.
Yep. So Man, everyone wants to get a whole bunch of stuff from Africa, not just the ivory from elephants or the manes from lions. No, now we need to get their ants.
It reminds me of how, like a lot of these, I would say, close to entomologists, not the actual studies, but like the people. There's some bug fanatics. I forgot their names, but they're not entomologists, not the scientific ones. But I remember in my a little bit like 10 years ago, I used to follow this one channel, and I actually wanted to refollow it. So in my new channel, in my new YouTube, his name for this channel is called Ants Canada, because you say, what kind of person, like, you don't expect people to get bugs as an exotic thing, but my god, if you have not seen the start of Ants Canada, how this man started to how he is today, it is crazy. When this man started, he started with a few tanks, like a few like water gallon tanks full of different types of ants. I'm just checking right now his stuff. Why does he have what looks like a penthouse with several different vivariums, with several different animals between snakes, birds, reptiles, and ants and fish?
May-
Like,
the algorithm has been kind to him.
here's just go somewhere randomly on this video and you'll see how big. Actually, you can do it like at the first 2 minutes. You go see how big this vivarium is.
And just look it up on YouTube, which I'm doing right now. If you just scroll through, uh, just the thumbnails alone paint a vivid picture of what this man does for a living, and you know he loves it and he enjoys it. He gets a really good views, even on recent videos. Has a good large subscriber base. Like, if anything, I think this is what this guy does. At least from what I'm looking at it, he kind of does the Mr. Beast thing, where like if you're gonna do something, be big with it, and so that's how you get videos of like how I built a bridge connecting all my vivariums. My crocodile is coming back to my vivarium. An ant war broke out in my vivarium.
Yeah, yeah. First, it used to be ant wars within his room. Now there's ant wars within his vivariums. And what's funny is that I found out for a good long while we never really saw his face, which again, you don't really need to. But I remember one time when I was scrolling through TikTok, or it could have been YouTube, and I heard someone's voice, and I was like, this person sounds so familiar. I can't put my finger on it. This man has a second channel. I don't remember what it was called, but he basically has I think at least 2 or 3 channels, and all of them are very successful. So all of them are hitting some type of niche. First is the ants. There's another one. I think the second channel is all about him like singing or something, like some kind of entertainment in that aspect. And who knows what the third one is? It could have been the third one could be a blog. They're all doing so well. So I just gotta say kudos to that man, and I can't wait to see more of these bugs.
And hopefully he never gets involved with these bug smugglers from China. And from the other ones, there was also a Vietnamese, a Belgium, and another Kenyan citizen also involved with this. So you know what? There's healthier ways to be a IRL Pokemon bug catcher, and doing it through this news story is not one of them. Pay for the bugs, don't just take them. Maybe battle them, but I don't know, you might lose on that one. especially if you don't have any grass types. What are bugs weak to again?
Fire.
No.
I'm not even joking. It is fire types. And I think fighting.
You know, that makes sense. I mean, that makes sense.
Oh wait, no, rock types. They're actually strong against fighting because people are scared of bugs.
Yeah, that
So
that makes sense. And yet fighting can beat flying. No, wait, no, it's the other way around, right?
no,
Yeah.
it's the other way around. Rocks can win against fighting flying types because you know the whole
Two
saying
birds with one stone.
kill two birds with one stone.
Very much so. And there's this little side tent.
I see here. Fire, fighting, poison, flying, ghost. Okay, ghost, steel, and fairy types. Wow, they're weak against a lot of things.
When the paper rock scissors get a little too much, you know what? At least Fire Emblem, they never really they very rarely expand their weapons. It's like, nah, you have the weapon triangle and your spell triangle, and that's it. After all these years.
Oh, I apologize. I was reading the rubric wrong. I had to click on it. It's just fire, flying, and rock.
Boo! You giving false information. How are you gonna do this to our aspiring Pokemon trainers out there? Don't you know?
Hey, give me some slack. I barely use bug types at all, if any at all, because they're kind of bad.
So that's all the bug catchers as in every game. In every game, there's always those few people, and always not mid game, not ending game, always in the early game. You find the bug catchers,
and they're always like, my Pokemon's the strongest. Metapod, use Harden. Use Harden again. Yeah, I bet you like that, didn't you? Harden again. You're not gonna expect this, and then like 20 more times later.
Said bug catcher Joey.
Kunai with Metapod. Metapod.
Ain't that right, you? Did my Metapod? So I just wanted to share that little zany story because my gosh, it's a bizarre world we live in. You thought JoJo's bizarre, the real world is also just as bizarre. Which I think, you know what, Jack? Another side tangent.
Mm-hmm.
It has been enough time since I've read or watched anything JoJo, and I think this year might be the one to do it, to finally be like, all right, I'm back, baby. I'm back to actually continue off with reading more of the manga, and as well to finally watching part 6. It may be this year. It may be because for the longest time I just did not have the motivation, but I'm starting to feel a little bit of it. I'm reminded of like, okay, why do I like this series to begin with? My hyperfixation might be coming back. Maybe. Although I do curse my brain that sometimes works that way, that I can't just enjoy something and then like on a casual level, if that makes any sense, have to hyperfixate on something and drop anything else. And actually, no, Ghetto, it's not because of Steel Ball Run. Just see your comment. I'm just reminded, I was reminded that number one, Jonathan Joestar is the GOAT. And even though he's technically the weakest Joestar of all the JoJos, I don't care. He is a man's man. And he'll always be number one in my heart.
He is morally superior.
Thank you. Yes, and if he lived long enough, he could have been spiritually superior. If he lived long enough. So
that reminds me, very slight side tangent. Wasn't there like this one theory that Star Platinum was like supposed to be a reincarnation or a reference to Jonathan?
That's just someone's fan headcanon. That sounds cool, but there's no text or subtext to imply that Star Platinum is in any way Jonathan.
Yeah, I kind of figured. It's still fun to think about.
It's. I remember when I used to watch a lot of JoJo vids on YouTube. There used to be a lot of that type of discussion of, oh, would it be cool this or would it be cool that? Kind of same with Dragon Ball, and and it
Hmm.
was and it was a little interesting because you're like, oh yeah, Rocky should have done X, but instead he did Y, and but at the end of the day, I was like, I don't. Even though JoJo is technically a type of battle shonen, it doesn't function like one. Or like when you read it, you're not. There's no tournament arc. There's no obvious power scaling because number one, everyone's powers are out there and so weird and also situational. That the whole point of it is like, okay, let's see how our heroes can get out of the situation with their current skill sets, which is always the fun part, at least when it comes to the later arcs. And even the beginning, at least with part two, with seeing Joseph kind of BS his way with out of the Pillarman. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's always been the fun of it. And I definitely knew like because I still got part six to watch and read. And sheesh, I recall the JoJo manga being officially like starting to be translated to English and brought over like back in high school,
Hmm.
and now we're at the point where Steel Ball Run is being printed in English and you can buy it at a bookstore. So it's not that we're not at part 9, but it's the English localization is catching up relatively quickly. And also a lot of the hubbub with the especially with part 6 with all the Netflix nonsense that's like so in the past that I forgot that that was a big reason why a lot of people missed out on part 6 because of how it was released. And now it's like, what, the whole show's there, just go and watch it. So, all right, I'll go and watch it, and maybe I will like Jolene, like how she looks, but I actually don't know who she is. Who is she? Who is Jolene Cujo? And why is Cujo spelled that way? For the longest time, I thought that was like a weird fan translation, but no. Jotaro Kujo and Jolene Cujo are spelled very differently, and I want to know why. Unless that's never explained, then you know what? Make a JoJo video about that. Why is their Cujo spelled differently?
The only way I can think of is daddy issues. Like, it's I make it sound funny, but at the same time, hear me out. So let's say there's something happening in the family. We don't really hear much about who Jotaro married. I don't recall at least. And let's say he got too devoted into his own stuff that, or just there's some bad blood. They got divorced. Jolene just like has an issue with the whole divorce or has an issue with the dad for not being there so much, which is why she is currently in prison, and which is why, out of rebelliousness, she decided to change her last name. Eh? Eh? It's a possibility.
or
I can
or
see it.
maybe she doesn't know how to spell it in Romanji.
She is such a delinquent. She is such a delinquent that she didn't bother to go to school. Perfect.
Akud's always love the Akud's razor. Why is it like that? I just didn't know how to spell it. If I knew, I wouldn't spell it like that.
My dad didn't taught me how to spell. He just went. "Hurrah!"
He just told me about the dolphins. All right. So, actually, to jump from that, I do want to go into our game segment, and that is, as I said earlier in the episode, the topic of giving a game a chance and the surprising outcome that comes out of it. Now, I asked this question to Jack yesterday so he can get his brain flow going and think about all the thousands and thousands of games that Jack has played over the years. Isn't that right? The thousands.
Yep, you're actually not too far
Yes,
wrong.
he's that much.
Or
Yeah,
off.
he's that much of a gamer. More so than me. I've only played hundreds. He's played thousands.
At least I'm getting close to that.
and so I have got, so of all the mini games, there's two that fit this question very well that I have chosen to share with you guys, and Jack as well. And so I'm gonna actually start off with the one that's more straightforward, and that is I'm gonna share a game that I gave a chance to, but by the end I was not impressed and never continued. This will be more straightforward because my reasoning for it is very simple. So Jack, let me ask you this. Have you ever played a indie game called Fury, and it's spelled with an I, Fury?
No.
All right. So, this is an action indie game that came out in the 2010s. Very stylish, look cool, and I remember wanting to try it out because of one of the super best friends. I think Wooly, maybe Wooly, could have been any of them really, was hyping the game up and singing his praises. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'll try something new. This is during the time I did not play a lot of indie games, if at all. So I wanted to give something a shot, and lo and behold, I remember seeing it on sale on the PlayStation Store because I got this for my PS4. So I buy the game, I play it, and I come in completely blind. The game begins, and as it was described, it is very stylish. A lot of neon colors, it's futuristic, and you're like this futuristic cyber ninja. Very cool. And I do the tutorial, and then I go into the first boss. And I take my time to figure out how to beat this boss. It took me a while, I think about 30 minutes, and I did. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. I can't wait to try the rest of the game. And then as I go into the next area, the game then takes me to the next boss. And I'm going, well, hold on, wait a minute. I just beat a boss. Why are you putting me into another boss already? And and that's when it dawned on me, and I actually did some research, that the game Fury was not a traditional action action game where you're going through lots of enemies, doing all these stylish moves and super cool abilities as you're going from one level to the next. No. Fury is literally boss rush the game. Yep, it is a game where you go from one boss to the next, each of them providing a different challenge to have you test your skills within the game's combat. And as soon as I realized that that's what the game was, I lost all motivation to keep on playing because I wanted a more traditional game, because the game controlled very fluidly, and I was like, man, I can't wait to play more of it. And then when I learned that nope, all you're doing is just fighting bosses and you're playing a game that is all about getting sweaty, to use a term, yeah, that didn't appeal to me. And then I dropped it, and it's a game I have not touched since then. So that was a negative example of a game that I tried out, and it wasn't what I thought it was gonna be. One could say, well, you should have looked it up what it really was before you bought it, and you're absolutely right. But hey, my favorite YouTubers were talking as high praises. I trusted them because they introduced me to a lot of cool games. I wanted to take their word from it, and from that day forward, I hesitate on trusting YouTubers now. You should too. The audience, everyone watching this, don't take my word for it. Everything I say is a lie unless you agree with me. Now, Jack, go ahead and give your first example.
So let's see. Let's start with, you know what? Let me ask you, positive or negative? Which one do you want to hear first?
Let's go positive. Since I started negative, let's go with a positive example.
All right. So this came from whenever I was first barely transitioning between Xbox, like the console, to I almost said PlayStation, PC. Um, as we all know, I was a wee lad that only knew FPSs, party games, and like whatever the GameCube had at the time, and Halo. Uh, when I was going through a lot of the games in Steam, when it came to just this, anything that was free, whether it be demos or free to play, one game kind of stuck out on me, and it was free as a demo for like a little bit. So I was like, I don't know. It kind of looks weird. I don't think I'm gonna enjoy it. It feels like something that will be over my head. I don't know. And that game was Sid Meier's Civilization Beyond Earth. What a way to start off, too. Beyond Earth. I was like, okay, it looks cool. It has a bunch of you can see there's like aliens, robots, things like that happening. So I downloaded the game, I tried it out, and I had no clue what was happening. I was doing everything and nothing at all. I was trying to manage my cities and everything, but I was, even though I didn't understand most of the game, I was actually enjoying it. Like I was never, and I never thought I would actually enjoy anything that's kind of similar to an RTS. But this was like actually my biggest introduction to like turn-based strategy games, and going through all the stuff, even though I didn't have the money, I was like, this is kind of fun. Of course, by the time when the demo stopped working for me, I just kind of ended up not playing it anymore. But later down the lines, look at me now. I now have Civilization 5, 6, Beyond Earth. I might get 7. I think I have 4. I spent thousands of hours, like close to 1,000. Let me see how many hours. I spent 100 plus hours on Civ Beyond Earth. Civ 6, I've currently spent, let me double check, 300, give or take, 300. And ever since then, I've actually enjoyed a lot of these strategy games. It brought me not closer to, not just to Civilization games, but when it came to Civilization games, like, I want something else. I want something more compact when it comes to like fighting, and especially with the armies. It made me try Total War. And I had a lot of fun, especially with the Total War Shogun. That one was one of my favorite ones. But it basically cascaded to a plethora of strategy games that I didn't think I would enjoy.
So,
So that was a big thing.
That's actually a pretty good example, since it literally introduced you to a whole genre of games that, in fairness, you probably wouldn't have been able to experience too much if you stuck with console. Because especially with games like Civilization, that's a game like you have to play it on PC. You
Yep.
very not bad version, just not a very. This is not ideal. That's the best way to put it. Not ideal.
Unoptimized. Yeah, it's just like very slow.
Yeah.
Because you have to wait a lot for those.
I am
turns.
surprised though that it is Beyond Earth, because I do know that game, but really I just remember the reception of when it came out, and the reception being, I never played it.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, okay, that's a little disappointing for people who like Civ, but I didn't think much beyond that. So the fact that what like even in the current Steam reviews, it still receive a mixed general consensus. It is good to see that hey, sometimes those 6 or 7 out of 10 games can be like the best game to get into.
I feel like that's the problem with. I mean, you can never tell. This is always it's mostly because like the I feel like the player base can be a little bit harsh because this game, of course, nowadays people are like, oh, recent reviews are very positive, and that's probably because they're playing it with the only decent DLC they have, which is Rising Rising Tides. And I feel like if they were able to have more time adding in DLCs, it would have been much positive, like a better reception for the game. Because before before the current English reviews being mixed, it was hated. Like it was like very negative on both ends.
Yeah, I'm
So
look
I don't know. Feel like we as a community we kind of jumped the gun on this
I'm
one.
looking actually the reviews for Beyond Earth, and a lot of them are generally positive. Although it's positive, although positive in that in the way of saying is like it's a good 6 or 7, because verbatim that's where a lot of people are saying about it in the positive reviews, and in the yeah,
Yeah.
although one person said as of March 5th, hey, at least it's better than Civ 7, quote unquote.
Yep.
But the negative
Yep.
ones, though, honestly, they kind of not kind of they seem very superficial. One just talking about the graphics. One just says the the game is boring, which I mean that's very subjective. But uh, although for some reason the recent negative reviews there's only one of them that actually put time into it to try to play it, and their first statement says mid but fun, but the other ones that are negative are barely have an hour of playtime if at all. So maybe take those with a grain of salt.
Oh yeah, that apparently I didn't even realize it before, but when it came to Steam, it used to not show you how often someone played a game.
Well, thank God, because that brings a whole bunch of context to the people talking about these games.
Yep.
And also, I did not realize that uh, Firaxis Games was a developer, because I know them as the Marvel Midnight Suns people, and that makes sense why even if it's a licensed game, that their Marvel RPG is pretty fun. I should finish it, but that's a time commitment.
Oh
I
yeah.
need to increase my social links with Magic, and you can't stop me because she's kind of winning me over, even though I kind of didn't want to. Because all I can remember is comic book version and just remembering like all like 8 years ago, you stopped Kitty Pryde from marrying Colossus, you bitch. Why did you have to open your mouth? She could have been happy, but no. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't that bad. It's been a while since I reread that story. All right. That is. Thank you for your positive example, and I will now give mine. So, my positive example of a game that I took a shot at is a game I played about 2 years ago, and
Mhm.
in that and this is again on the PS4 because that's where I got it. And it's a game that seemed intriguing, and I did want to try it out because of its premise. And that game is, and I'll say the full title is 9 hours, no, 9 persons, 9 hours, 9 doors, aka 999. And for those who don't
Mm.
know what 999 is, that it is a visual novel that is also a puzzle game. And it is one that Jack is a visual novel game that's pretty much ruined me from trying to other visual novels because now I have a standard of
Mm-hmm.
what I want in a visual novel. And if it doesn't have that, I am not interested. So the premise of the game, just because it does need some explanation, the title doesn't do it justice, is that you you and 8 other survivors are on a abandoned ship that's in the middle of the ocean, and you guys have been selected for something called the nonary game. It is a sadistic game of life or death where you must strategically solve puzzles and figure out what's going on in order to survive the experience. If I want a simple explanation, it is Weeb Saw, but with tremendously better writing. That's the best way to describe it. So it's not completely a horror game, and it's not that gory, but the show do some. There's a little blood. There's some things that happen where you're like, no. But then the whole point of the game is that, and so just because you make it to the end of the game, does that mean you have the real ending? And so the it's kind of spoiling a bit, but it helps get my point across. The game is meant to be replayed, and there is actually a story reason why that happens. And so going through and uncover the mysteries, taking the different branches revealed in the end. I kid you not, the even though I
Mm-hmm.
was playing this in my room with the sun covering most of the TV, and I had to like literally sit on the side so I can actually see the screen properly, even through that annoyance.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to be so engrossed into the game that when it was done, I was like, man, I, I am thankful that I got to experience like game like that. And one day I will try it with sequels because it does have 2 sequels. I would like to try them one
Mm-hmm.
day when I'm in the mood for it, because it's definitely not just a game you can pick up and play. It's like Ace Attorney in that manner, where if you even drop it for a week, you're gonna forget a lot of details, and by that point, you're gonna have to just do a whole new run because there's too many things that you don't want to forget. So
Yeah.
that will be my game that took a chance and has a very positive outcome. And also, it is also very funny to technically play what's originally a DS game on a console. But they do a good job because they upres everything properly, so it looks good on the HD TV.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you ever. I don't know if it was the last time you saw like proper DS graphics. They have their charm, but they don't necessarily hold up, especially if you try to blow them up on the computer monitor. They don't look that great.
Yeah.
So the remasters on consoles do a fine job, and actually, I wouldn't. I would imagine they would be on Steam, but let me double check. Da, da, da. Wait a minute. Unless, oh, maybe it's under a different name. Okay, good. It's under a different. Oh my gosh! Actually, all right, I'm gonna do some shilling here. All the so in the series is called the Nonary games, and you haven't played it on Steam right now, you can buy the let's see, you can buy all the games are on sale, and if you want the full trilogy, so all 3 games, it's literally $3.98 right now. As of this recording, it in a stream episode, $3.98 if you want the full trilogy, and if you just want the first two games, it's even less than that, $2.99. $2.99. So if you want something different, make you never want to try a regular vision novel ever again, Nonary Games. Check it out. You have no excuse. There's less is literally less than buying a meal at McDonald's.
Yeah, but buying a meal kind of does feel better
at the moment, and then you get hungry again. But if you buy the Nonary Games, you'll get to feel good forever and ever. Unless you're just not into it,
and then be hungry.
Well, yeah, but you have extra money. You could just go. You could if you have $10 and you spend 3 of them on the Nonary game. That's $7 where you can get at least something from McDonald's. Not a lot of things, but something. better stock up on cheeseburgers and a small soda. That's all I'm saying.
No, I'm stocking up on off-brand spam. That's what I'm gonna do. Spum. Oh yes, I love me my spum.
All right, Jack, go ahead. Share us your last example of a negative outcome.
Okay, so this might be a little bit cheating, but it's pretty fresh on my mind. That game has to be Marathon. The upcoming, or not upcoming, it's already out.
Bungie's new game's already out?
Exactly.
Oh,
see?
Shit. You got me there.
So I played the game, I didn't buy it. I played the open beta, the what was it called? The Slam server, like the server Slam, where they're testing out how well their servers are and everything. So I played a little bit of the game during that time, and it just feels one of the tough things for me, and this might be like a proxy type of deal, is extraction shooters. They just don't seem to be my thing, other than Arc Raiders. Mainly because of the dynamic of extraction shooters, where you go in, grab stuff, get out, but if you die, you lose that stuff. And a lot of these extraction shooters tend to always end up acting the same when it comes to their player base, where they always end up trying to backstab you. Or most of the times there'll be someone too lazy to even play the game, so they'll sit at an extraction point and just shoot you, then take your stuff, and then they go
And evolve.
Is it a skill issue? Yes, very much. Yep. Again, is it a skill issue? Yes, it is. I will not deny that. I'm not fighting that aspect of the game. I'm not gonna fight that aspect of Marathon. What I'm fighting on the aspect of Marathon is it just doesn't feel unique to me. I've played a lot of free-to-play shooters. I've played a lot of free-to-play things. To me, this feels so much like a free-to-play shooter in the sense of its art style. The combat feels very much Destiny, because again, ever since, for some weird reason, Bungie loved to dump out a lot of things from Halo, but they seem to gravitate towards this Destiny-esque hybrid of Call of Duty and Halo mashup, where it's like fast-paced, but in some areas it kind of feels clunky to me. People say like, "Oh, it's such a great game and everything." I'm like, "Okay, you have your reservation. You have your opinion on that game. I feel differently." But when it comes to a game, if the game itself has a a certain amount of reviewers waiting, like they literally pay these reviewers to wait a little bit to review the game until, oh, just wait until we do this content drop. No. Don't do that to me. No. I that's where you're losing my respect. No. Let the reviewer review the game. Just because you feel like, oh, but if we put this content out right now, then it'll feel like a complete game. Then why didn't you put that content out?
Yeah.
Just take a little bit of time. I don't know. Just take your time.
Not.
Sure, I can definitely blame whatever other like publisher or whoever is above them that's pushing this out ahead of time. Yeah, I can blame them. Yeah, I will. But if you're gonna be making an extraction shooter and then on the same line saying, oh yeah, but then we're gonna have this one map that is gonna feel like a raid. And in that map, like once when you get to the end of the raid, you're gonna have like these fights with the enemies and everything. And then like after that, you get to a lot of good loot and you can leave. Like, okay. So this is just Destiny. This is just Destiny.
So
if you're gonna give me raids, it's just Destiny with a different coat of paint.
So,
and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. The Destiny players, I'm pretty sure the Destiny PvPers, they're gonna love this. Go ahead, love it. I don't fine, but this is just Destiny.
And that's a problem because if it's just Destiny, then just go play Destiny. Why play something else why play a game that does something another game already does well, debatably?
More in the sense of me, it's more like my stance is, if this is just Destiny, then they could have put more energy into Destiny to fix some of the issues they currently had that was bleeding the player base. But they decided to make Marathon, which Marathon was more of a boomer shooter because the very first Marathon had the same things, the same aspect as Doom. Which again, I don't mind that they're trying to have a different view, like have a different spin on these things, because again, boomer shooters like Doom, it had its time. I'm not gonna say that everything needs to be Doom. It had its time. It had its time frame, but like this feels very much them just going, yeah, this is just Destiny. And not just that, there was I agree with some of the reviewers, because there were a few reviewers where some of these factions that they have, because they have factions in these games, and the factions kind of lead the story on. So you have to do their quest and everything. And a lot of their quests is literally fetch quest. Jump into the map, go to this one point, press a button, leave. Alive or dead, doesn't really matter, leave. Next mission, go to this part of the map, interact with this. Maybe do a few things like destroy a few bots here and there, or destroy a few people here and there. Leave. Like, I'm not playing Final Fantasy again in the fetch questing. I'm tired of fetch questing. I played that in Final Fantasy 14. I don't want to do any more fetch questing. Please. And what's worse is you got, from what I heard, whenever it does a server wipe, because of course every extraction shooter has to maintain the balance somehow, so you end up doing a forced server wipe where you lose everything. Guess what you got to do again? All those fetch quests. Yippee!
So I actually want to. So I want to pause you just a little bit, because number one, that was a lot, and I'm sure you can go into more. So, but if I want to get the gist of it, of itself, whether the design, the gameplay, and the aesthetics that make it too unique. If anything, for you, it was like it's Bungie doing the same thing again, except in a different type of shooter that's technically different from Destiny. It's, and as well the the small annoyances that build up to a very repetitive game loop that you're no longer want to play anymore.
And like it's not really like the game loop is the game loop. That's how it is when it comes to a lot of extraction shooters. I play Arc Raiders and I enjoy that a lot because I mean it has its own game loop of going in, shooting robots, coming out, and all that stuff. I feel like Arc Raiders is a very casual way of entering into the extraction shooter. And I am content with the aspect that I am just a casual. I'm content with that because I played Escape from Tarkov, didn't really like it too much. I've played a few others I can't really name right now, but yeah, the main issue I have is the fact that it just feels like Destiny. The people that are really hyping this game up a lot, I feel like they're kind of it's making the game a little bit overrated because it's just like it's not that deep. Like, yeah, these shells or basically these classes, they have their own abilities that you will use, and you can't spam them because they have like 2 to 3 minute cooldowns. That to me, that doesn't feel unique. That just feels like you're adding in pretty much a class to an extraction shooter. And it just ends up being Destiny. Because considering Bungie nowadays reuse a lot of assets and reuse a lot of the same feelings, and it's like, I don't know. I just didn't vibe with it.
All right, all right then. I mean, yeah, if that's from from your points, I can definitely see that if it's not bringing anything new to the table, and if what they bring is not that fun, why stick around for it? And especially since, like with Arc Raiders, that is a free to play game, correct?
Arc Raiders is pay to play. You have to pay. Well, like in the sense, like you pay the
Okay,
$40. I feel like the
I thought it
$40,
was free to play. Never mind then. But there are other.
like both of them are $40 barriers, but I feel like Arc Raiders has given me enough of a reason to pay those $40. Marathon does not give me that reason to pay $40.
I see. And so it also could be that that you played a very similar game, and that one you just got more out of. I can definitely relate to that in terms of fighting games, because I got Guilty Gear Strive and around mostly because I did not like the way they handle the online ranking systems, and the lobbies were cute but never very uh it never worked as intended, and plus I couldn't uh even there were some characters I did like. There was never a character that I loved, and that was like the biggest thing for me to really get into Guilty Gear Strive, was that there were characters I liked, but there was never a character I loved to play as. And even the characters I really wanted to, I just couldn't gel with. I really wanted to learn Eno, but Eno's gameplay just wasn't for me. And Soul was okay, but Temkin was okay for me. I did like Millie. Keep playing to keep learning. So eventually, I just played different fighting games that gave me characters that I really love to play. So I'm getting that same feeling to you, that technically Marathon does feel good to play, but there's so many things surrounding it that it is not very fun to play for you, and you've already played a game that does everything it does just much better.
And yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah. Like, so for the marathon people, again, I will restate that. Yes, I'm a dirty casual. I don't care. I'm a dirty casual. And but just like how I feel when it comes to people that play the next year of Madden, I'm pretty sure you feel the same way about me. But at least when it comes to me, Marathon, I'm not gonna say it's a bad game. It's just not my type of
And I
game.
would say, looking at the Steam reviews, a lot of the positive, at the minimum, like 30 or 20, actually 20 hours worth of game time. So, there are people who put in a whole day's worth before they had to give it their opinion. So, but hey, that's what happens. You try out something, and you know what? It doesn't turn out the way it is. The other example I would have picked instead of Fury, because Fury was like the one that was so clear cut. The other one actually kind of fits to where you recognize there's good things about it, but there just wasn't enough there for me to keep going. Was Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, and it pains me
Mhm.
because when I look at its DLC and all the different other story events you can play through, in my head I'm like, that's pretty cool. I would like to play through that stuff. Then I remember, oh, actually don't like the combat too much for Kakarot, and the side quest and the actual RPG stuff in it is very shallow and not that engaging. And if you're going through just, hey, you're going through Dragon Ball Z again, it's like, well, I already know what happens in Dragon Ball Z. So because of that though, I did then see, for people who never saw Dragon Ball Z, like never, they barely know anything. All they know is Super Saiyan Goku and that he is a thing. For them, the game is super fun and super cool because they're living out the story through a very cool way, and so the game hits harder for them. But for someone like me who knows how happens in the story, and I'm in here to play a fun game that is provides some challenge, I didn't get that. So I could have chose that one, but I went with Fury because I just love I still think about it, of how like you could have just made a regular action game instead of a boss rush. Like, I am not that hardcore of a gamer. It's like, nah, I want to get nothing but bosses and bosses and bosses. That's all I want.
We need more bosses.
I need to fight the big boss. No, not that one. All right, that is the conclusion of that segment. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm sure everyone has their own games that they tried out that they really enjoyed, or were very disappointed, or ended up not liking. But that's the kind of the fun thing as you play games through the years. You get all those good memories to think back on, and sometimes those games either end up being better than you thought, or you go, how the heck did I even stomach this? I know for me that was Dragon Ball Z Sagas. I like play 100% of that game, and to this day I'm like, how did I deal with that? Then I realized, oh wait, and there wasn't much else to me to play, so I had to work with what I got. Oh, man.
Yep.
Ooh. Gale shares his thoughts. He says, the only part of Kakarot that got me was the last boss against Kid Buu while Chala Head Chala plays. I think that would get anyone because that's a hype moment. If anything that happens in Dragon Ball, for the most part, and Chala Head Chala starts to play, that's like you already get like, damn it, it's pulling me in. It's cheap, but I know it's pulling me in. And no one says about we got a power. Actually, I don't even recall how We Got a Power goes like. So I don't ever understand people who prefer that song over Chala Head Chala. I was like, what? What are you, weird? Oh man. You know what?
Yes.
You're right. You're right. And you know what? I'm looking at the time. For time's sake, unfortunately, we are going to have to start closing our show. The only I'm trying to. There's a few things I'm looking here of what to mention or just to talk about very briefly, and actually, well, this is a very quick question for you, Jack. Do you have any
Hmm.
interest in the Invisible Versus game?
Invisible versus. I never
You
heard
lie.
about that one.
You don't know about Invincible Versus?
Oh, Invincible versus. Oh, that one. I
My
heard
bad.
Invisible. Like,
I my bad.
uh,
That's a old like young hack habit of confusing both words. When I used to do that, I used to do that all the time when I was a little kid.
let's see. Mm, I feel like it's going to just be a
It's
game.
not a day one purchase. You're not gonna be. I'm gonna be right there. The number one Invincible fan. Gonna play this game for 10 hours and then never play it again.
No, I really do feel it's just gonna be a game.
Then, what's your prediction? Which between Invincible and the Avatar fighting game, which one's gonna be the game? Not which is gonna be the a game of the year between those two.
Oh, between those two, I feel like Avatar, just because like the Avatar fan base never died, considering the amount of time we,
It's
yeah,
gonna
like
so
it
it's
just
so
it never died, so
I
it's gonna it's gonna
actually
bring
should
people
reframe.
in.
When I say a game of the year, I'm not saying that people are going to enjoy it. I mean, it's going to be a game that came out and then everyone moved on.
Oh, oh, Invincible.
You know what? Yeah, I kind of feel that mostly because, if the show was like ongoing and there was always episodes, they do that whole batches thing for their seasons, and which I'm like,
Uh,
well, that kills a lot
I
of hype and
I think
anticipation.
it's more. I feel like it's of course always the whole recency bias. It's gonna like Invincible has their fan base, and I will say that they're not gonna have. Invincible is very memey, and in a way that could be a bad thing for the game's
True,
relevancy.
that's very true. Although the irony, like that of calling it invincible recency bias, despite the fact the comics been around for almost 20 years, maybe a little more. It's just the irony in that statement. But obviously,
I know,
it's the show
I
that made
know.
it like more mainstream and people watched it because of that. But
Yeah,
it's just funny to
yeah.
think about when you put it through that way.
I know, and like I know some comic fans are like really screaming at me at this one, but like you gotta look at it from my point of view. Most people nowadays they only know Invincible because of the
And that
show, and that did bring in people to the comics. Like me, I
Yeah,
did. I'm
and
reading
as
the
a comic
comics,
fan,
but yeah,
I would say that that's how most people get into comics. It's through like the adaptations. There's there's not like the '80s or the '70s where you have kids go, with their nickels and dimes going to the corner store to get their uh candy Kit Kats and comic books. See what the Flash is doing this week. There's none of that. All right. If kids want to read comics, they will. Which are cowards. You should have done when we were kids. Find a shady website and read it through that way. That's the real way to read comics. That's how I read my manga. Why couldn't you do it? Yeah,
yeah.
risk getting a virus on your phone.
And that's how I got many viruses on my. That's how I get many
If you never
viruses
had
on
a
my old
virus in
computer.
any of your tech, are you really using your technology properly? Huh? Think about it. Oh man. All right. I just wanted to ask. Oh yes.
Oh,
Something else you want to bring up real quickly?
I have a. Yep, I have an honorable mention when it comes to like games I wanted to try out. Honorable mention, very recent. I tried out a game mostly because of how unique it is in the whole aspect of this genre. It is another extraction shooter, but it's called Naquan Last Paradise. I hope I said the first part of the name right.
Um,
I will give you a warning though. It is developed and published by Nexon, and we already know how Nexon is.
I don't.
So
I
I'm still
don't. Can you give
cautious.
me a quick like context of why I should be worried of Nexon?
Nexon likes to be very predatory with their money stuff when it comes to like free to plays and other stuff
Ah,
like that.
okay.
Or they kind of half bake some things
Oh, okay.
just to make a quick buck.
Gotcha. So, all right. Thank you. Now, what? Now, why are you mentioning this game real quickly? Go ahead. Tell the audience.
So I played the alpha test. I was very surprised that it popped up out of nowhere last week actually. So I only played like 2 rounds. But I did like what I saw so far within the 2 rounds that I played. Uh, it takes place in a zombie infested South Korea. By this point, I'm pretty sure the world has fallen into a dark age. The zombies overrun everything. And since we're playing this in South Korea, uh, you're playing as a person that pretty much ended up in a dead end type of deal. Like you were forced into this deal. You're going out looting stuff to bring back to the main city that you're in, and you're only out there with melee weapons, and not even like any fancy fantastical melee weapons. You're like literally just going out there with either a piece of wood, like a 2x4, or if you gotten really lucky, maybe like a bat with like nails out of it. The game is very much for an extraction shooter. It is very much emphasizing the melee combat. The whole skill tree for this game is purely just on the melee combat. There is nothing in the skill tree that will help you with shooting. If and guns are very, very rare in this game. I have not seen a gun. They are there, but they are very risky to use. The game will literally preface that the whole thing that the zombies they're all sound dependent. They will hear you. They don't just walk around and ignore footsteps. If you run around, you will have some zombies running at you. And they're so annoying to kill because they just don't die quickly. They do not die quickly.
Looking at the gameplay of it, and
Uh,
all I could think is, wow, I didn't know Zombie U was coming back.
yeah, it really does feel like one of the zombie survival games.
It is.
And yeah, except you won't really, I don't think you'll see like, who knows, maybe you'll see, that'll be cool. You'll see dead players and like you could take their loot and stuff when you jump in, but I don't know. But all I know is from what I heard, some people that did manage to get a gun and be able to extract with it, you do not keep that gun. That gun is like game wise is taken from you by the whatever the remnant of a government is, and they just give you in-game money, like extra bonus for having that gun. So you're always dependent on using your melees.
I see.
I feel like I don't know if it will be a great game or a good game. I just feel like it is a very unique aspect to the extraction shooter concept. And some people have equated the what was it called? The gameplay feeling like more of The Last of Us.
I see. I would say this game does fall right into what I've noticed is that you love your survival zombie games with I Am Alive, the Dead by Daylight games, probably one I'm missing, and now this. That's a niche that even if it's not your favorite game, it's something you're willing to try because I want to kill some zombies. That's you right now. It's like I want to kill some zombies.
Definitely,
and for free too.
Like I remember, I had a friend jump in the game with me, and he was not much of a fan of extraction shooters, but he did like the idea of how unique this concept is, and we're just kind of patiently watching over it to see how it's going to play out.
Also, I want to confirm, looking over gameplay footage, you can indeed hide in a box like Solid Snake.
That was the funniest thing I've seen. I was looking through the skill tree, and the skill tree is very dynamic in the sense of like, there's some things that you kind of question, okay, can a civvy really do that? Can a civilian, like, yeah, I know South Korea, they have a lot of people, they have almost everyone go into the military, but can you really have a civilian like twirl around a grapple hook a zombie to like knock it down, or go Solid Snake and hide in a box?
Why not?
Why not?
It is the end times. I mean, only the strongest have survived. So there you go. There's your reasoning.
Like, I mean, I enjoy the little funny thing of like the box. I did not put any skill points into the box because I wasn't really a fan of using the box. But I'm pretty sure someone out there is going to use the box.
That's where you're wrong. You don't choose the box. The box chooses you. And it didn't choose you that session. But all right. Well, that is Anakwan Last Paradise. The game is not out yet, but you can look it up on Steam and see if it's something that fits you. See if what Jack has described and look at the game itself. If that piques your interest, add to your wish list on Steam. And so with that, let's go ahead and give our closing announcements for this episode. Jack, go ahead. What do you have to announce for this week of... Oh, I messed that up. Go ahead and announce what you have upcoming for this week.
So, let's see. I think I will be available to do some things on... I think tomorrow for Tuesday, I will be finishing up Resident Evil 5 with Winter. I need to double check with him. Wednesday, I am going to look through some of the old games I have and see if I'll play them throughout for the Wednesday stream, just to kind of take a different step from the music streams that I've been doing. And on Friday, we might have Friend Friday. It really does depend how everyone else feels throughout that Friend Friday. So we'll let you know through my socials if I remember to update y'all.
Actually, that's a good question to ask. I know you rarely use X, so what is actually something that you would use to update people on what's going on with your Twitch?
More often than not, the easiest way I update, the only reason why I don't do announcements of like when I'm live on Twitch or on X and stuff like that, apparently the algorithm kind of ends up blocking you because they start believing you're doing spam. So I'm doing them very less often. But the Discord will always announce when I'm live. So join my Discord.
Which
Don't
actually
know
reminds me.
if
Actually, that
this.
reminds me.
Mhm.
Send me a link. Send me like link invites to your Discord so I can put it into the clips so that people will know to go in there.
Yeah, let me
Yeah.
do that real quick. Uh, I do have my card, which is the website I go through to show everything I have: my Twitch, my YouTube, my Ko-fi,
Yep.
TikTok, X, etc. By the way, for the Ko-fi, for those that for those that are watching this in the future, I have free music for any streamers that is there in my Ko-fi. The Ko-fi, there's free music. I'm currently making my third sound pack, and that one feels a little bit more friendly towards the background music for streamers. So please wait for that. So again, I'll share that in my card. Hopefully, it'll be there somewhere down
All
below.
right. Thank you, Jack. And as for me, nothing new to announce. I was hoping to get a lot of editing done this previous week, especially since we didn't have an episode. However, even though it was spring break for all the young people in America, it was not for me. And so there wasn't too much progress on any of my video projects. So that's going to be focusing on catching up for this coming week. So, so say subscribe to the JAC Show to be notified of when new videos will be up on the channel, so that you'll be notified of when I upload any of my not random, but like my more personal videos of stuff that interests me, specifically with movies, comics, and sometimes a miscellaneous thing, but mostly movies and comics. And with that, that's all to announce. And so thank you very much everyone watching this live episode of the JAC Show, episode 241. Again, as a reminder that this episode will go unlisted once it's fully processed, and that the only way to rewatch it is through the playlist, through the JAC Show playlist. But be on the lookout for our future clips. So be on the lookout for our future clips of all the highlights of these episodes. And well, I thank you very much for watching. And this is Hack and Jack, sign out.